Now it's time to go and do this rabbit's ears. So I pick up the run line tool and I go for a little walk. And I'm going around the inside of the head, and travel lines serve dual purposes. They stop your machine being asked to make unnecessary jumps, which can create wear and tear on your hoop mechanism. They stop the bobbin thread from snapping at the needle. For instance, if I'd made a jump from there to there, my bobbin thread would be stretched over that distance, and when my needle went through the fabric, the bobbin thread would grab it, and because it was stretched, could end up bending the needle slightly. Now, not all machines have auto scissors or trims. Not all machines trim bobbin and top thread, so you always digitize to minimize the wear and tear on your machine, to consider the pitfalls that you might create for your machine, which is one of the reasons why I thinned my stitching here. I don't want to give my machine a hard time asking it to stitch tensely packed stitches. Quite apart from anything else, the domestic machine hoop isn't very good at gripping the fabric. Too dense a design and the fabric is going to start slipping away from the edges of the hoop. And let me show you what I mean. There's the hoop. Okay? Now the only places which really grip tight on an embroidery hoop of this shape, and they all use this shape because it is more economical. If they gave us circular hoops, they'd need to make huge harps for the hoop to maneuver in, and of course that's not on, it's not practical. So anyway, when you look at a hoop, this area here has the strongest grip. It's on a curve. This area has the strongest grip, also on a curve. So is this area, so has this area. This long straight edge doesn't have the gripping power of the corners, and the tighter you tighten the outer hoop, the more stress you put on this long edge, and it will actually bow and create an even bigger gap. You've got to consider all these things when you're digitizing and you're thinking of your densities, your stitch types, and your designs. Now, if you haven't already been to Embroidery Library Project, pop over, go to their project center, tips. Anyway, I know it's got techniques on the tab, and you'll find tutorials, and one of those is a brilliant tutorial on using shelf gripper to create a really good solid grip on your fabrics in your hoops without over tightening the screw, which actually ends up stretching your outer hoop and distorting your inner hoop, because the tighter you make this, the further out you push this one, and the closer you try to bring this one, and it will misshape your inner hoop. Okay, end of lecture. Right, now we're going to work on the ear. So let's increase the magnification. And I've got my digitizing maze at the top there. And I go and I pick up my turning angle tool, weave fill. I start inside the confines of the head, and I right click then around my shape. Now I did a left mouse click up into the apex there and a left mouse clicks in the inner apex, but I didn't bring my node far enough down into the inside of the ear, down here. I've got to create an underlap for the next layer, which is the inner ear. The reason you create underlaps, as we did on the belly and on the arm, is it's a form of pull compensation. Your program has got a built-in pull compensation. Don't ask your program to do it all on its own. That's totally unfair. You've got to learn to digitize using good, sound, basic digitizing skills. And one of those is allowing for push-pull distortion. Okay. Now I'm moving my nodes around because I want to relieve. There we go. That's thinned the stitches. Now I know it looks like a ridge, but that's because it makes long and short stitches. And if I go into digitizer mode, I was looking at needle points in between videos. Okay, if I go into digitizer mode, I drop away the background image and I blow this up. Now look here, they don't all come into the center. The program creates long stitch, shorter stitch, short stitch to accommodate all the stitching. That's its underlay, and I'm going to go in and change that underlay and tell it I want double zig. I thought I changed all these in my template. Maybe I didn't. Because these are 2, 4, 6, 8 millimeters long. And if it was in satin stitch, it would create a problem. But because I'm using fill stitch, it doesn't, because it makes the needle penetrations, which is fine. So it's not going to pull in as badly as the satin stitch. But it's still going to pull. And it still needs that reinforcement of an underlay stitch. So I'm going to tell that that's okay. Drop this in scale. Now you can see, this is why you should never ever look at your simulated stitch and accept that as how your design will look. That is not how it will look. You won't be aware that there's long and short stitches in there. Running stitch. And we come over. Now, I'm not certain that I like the second ear. But I don't think I like that very much at all. So I am going to disengage the tool, Control D. There we go. Duplicate my shape, flip it, thank you. Move that flipped shape into position and go back to this one. Endpoint was there. I'm going to click on this one. Endpoint was there. So I want to put start point here. Endpoint here. Okay, until that stop. So now I've got a set of matching ears. I'm now going to do the snout. So I use my run line tool and I travel around the inside of my shape again up to there, and I forgot to put a left mouse node in at the bottom here. Okay, I go and I pick up my weave fill tool and I'm going to change, no I'm not, I don't change the colour till I do the next bit. Ugh, stop getting ahead of yourself, Maggie. Highlight it, reshape it, bring that up there a little bit, him up there a little bit, same with that one, and generally even at that shape. There we go. Now I'm going to select him and I'm going to put the Florentine effect on it. There you go. But I want him to look as though he's a happy bear or a happy bunny. Okay, stop. Now in the next video we will do the inside of his ears, the outside of his face, Hopefully get his eyes and his nose in, and a little bit of shaping here, and put his mouth in. So see you in the next video.